let's welcome as our ensemble. Let's welcome Iman Gretchen Hoffman. And I'm hoping that you will tell us a little bit about your community also before we start.
Well, before I start the talk, I'd like to start this talk as Sufis try to start every action with the phrase Bismillah Rahmani Rahim. It simply means in the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Sufis use this phrase constantly because we constantly want to remember our Lord. We are all children of God. We all come from God. We're all going to return to God. We are all truly seeking God. And this phrase helps us remember that constantly. So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning. Thank you for having us. I guess before I start anything else, I can tell you a little bit about our community. We are based in Burton. We are a local community of several hundred people, very international. I think we once counted 33 nationalities in the center. But we are also part of a much larger worldwide community of Sufis, which has hundreds of thousands of members and is all over the globe. In fact, these lovely young ladies got to perform in Indonesia recently as a result of our Sufi community there in Indonesia. I'm not really sure what you want to know, so maybe when we get to the Q&A, you can ask me whatever you want to know, and hopefully I can answer it. Okay? Thank you for inviting us to this center. The first person I actually met from your center was Kelly Love, who, by the way, has a fabulous Sufi name. Love is super important to us Sufis. It's a key concept in our teaching. And as maybe the best-known Sufi ever, Rumi said, still, after all this time, the sun has never said to the earth, "You owe me." Look what happens with love like that. It lights up the sky. This is what love can do for all of us. It can light up our sky. Maybe I'm a good person to come here and talk to you because personally I come from an extremely interfaith family. My family includes Catholics, Protestants, Jews, New Agers, and a Buddhist. So, you had me, Sufi, for the last 17 years, and I think we have it covered. In fact, this spectrum of belief reflects the Sufi saying, the ways to God are as numerous as the breaths of human beings. Each individual person has his or her own personal and private way to the divine presence. Each person is a unique representative of the divine. As beings endowed with divine light, we are the custodians and the maintainers of all that is of benefit for mankind, for this planet that we live upon, and for connecting with our inner, pure, childlike self. It is this spiritual connection that enables human beings to draw on the flow of energy from the universe, to draw upon divine love. Sufism, which has also been called the way of the heart, the way of the pure, the mystical path of Islam, is the journey that takes the seeker, the student, the Sufi, to the divine presence. In essence, Sufism is a means and a way by which the seeker will move from their lower self, from the gravity that is holding us here, to ascend to a state where the vision of God will be presented to him or her. Sufis say, if human beings knew their own inner secrets, never would they look elsewhere seeking happiness, peace, and inner light. Therefore, the essence of the path is to find oneself. Know thyself, know thy Lord, is an imperative of our way. As I said, Sufism is the mystical path of Islam, and as Sufis, we share with the Muslims all around the world the 5 pillars of Islam, which, since you are an interfaith center with many guest speakers, you may know this part, and if I am repeating what you are all experts on, I apologize. And if not, then I'm sharing something new with you today. The first pillar of Islam is the Declaration of Faith. We use the Declaration of Faith, known as the Shahada, to state our basic beliefs. It states that we believe there is one God, the creator of all, the Almighty. It also states that we know that Muhammad was a prophet of God. We believe in the prophethood of Muhammad just as we believe in the prophets who came before him, like Moses and Jesus, peace be upon them all. We accept all the prophets that God sent to this earth. In Arabic we say, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadun Rasulullah. There is no God but God. Muhammad is the messenger of God. The second pillar of Islam is prayer. Because we know that we are creations, that we come from the Almighty, 5 times a day we turn back and try to pray to the Almighty, to God. We try to pray, well, we're supposed to pray, hopefully we do, at sunrise, at noon, in the afternoon, at sunset, and in the evening. And many of us, especially Sufis, also pray in the middle of the night, because Sufis believe, as many Muslims believe, as Muslims know, that prayer is better than sleep. The third pillar is charity. It is important to us for it purifies us. It purifies our worldly wealth. The Quran tells us you cannot obtain righteousness unless you spend in charity out of what you love. Chapter 3, verse 92. The fourth is fasting. Muslims fast the month of Ramadan each day from dawn to dusk if we are physically able. Fasting brings you closer to God. It allows you to empathize with the poor, with the people of the world who are hungry. And the fifth is pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca for those who are able once in their life. Mecca is our holiest city, and we face it and pray towards it 5 times a day, and each Muslim hopes to go there at least once. These pillars bind all Muslims the world over together. But Sufis do more than these pillars because we are looking for more than these pillars. We do not want to just worship God. We want to be in the presence of God. It is this desire that sets people on the Sufi path. I'll be honest though, I'm an ordinary person. I've done way more seeking than finding. So there's only so much I can truly tell you about the Sufi path. In fact, it's this lack of spiritual knowledge that most of us have that leads each Sufi to choose a mystical guide. Someone who can be your teacher, your sheikh, someone who can help you follow the methods and practices of the path you have chosen. That said, I want to share one key aspect of the Sufi path with all of you today. I want to discuss something that we try to do all the time, which is remember God. Remembrance of God, or zikr Allah in Arabic. By the way, Arabic is, Allah is just the Arabic word for God. If we were reading a Bible in Arabic, the word would be Allah. It's not a Muslim word. We use it because it has, for one thing, Allah does not have, as God has in some English, has no gender. It is beyond gender. And unfortunately, some people have come to put gender on the word God, so it doesn't always translate perfectly. The Quran tells us, it is in the remembrance of Allah that hearts can find comfort. Chapter 13, verse 28. The recollection of the divine is one of the ways to ascend towards higher stations, towards God. God has many names and attributes, such as the 2 I began with, Ar-Rahman, the most merciful, Ar-Rahim, the most compassionate. There are many others, Al-Karim, the most generous, Al-Wadud, the loving, and so on. Sufis know that through the recollection of these attributes of the divine, those attributes, those characteristics will adorn and dress the seeker, causing his or her essence to obtain purity and his or her outer form to be adorned with divine radiance. Remembering God will bring forth the divine light with which you are already endowed. Sufis say, if the seeker will mention the Lord in every moment, peace will fill his or her heart. They will find satisfaction in it. And it will lift up his or her spirit, will raise his or her soul. The seeker may even receive a great reward and sit in the presence of the Lord Almighty. Because it is said, the people of zikr are the people of my, that is God's, presence. That is why we Sufis do zikr. That is why it is a key practice for Sufis the world over. So what is zikr? Well, it's not one thing. It's a little easier to talk about if it was, I suppose. It's not a simple, single spiritual exercise. There are many forms of zikr. Some involve movement. If anyone has ever seen the whirling dervishes, they are actually doing zikr. This is an ancient form of zikr. Some zikrs involve loud chantings, Some involve recitations of the different names, the different attributes of the holy, as the ones I mentioned earlier. And some are silent, deep meditations in the heart. Different Sufi paths have different zikrs. Some Sufi paths have more than one zikr. But Sufis the world over do this zikr, do this remembrance of God as we try to move closer to that divine presence. Fortunately for you, the girls, the same songs they are singing are also a form of zikr, and so you have now experienced this unique and important Sufi practice. And let me tell you, that's much better than my talking about it. Zikr is remembrance, making mention. It is both an oral act and a mental act, an act of the tongue and of the heart. Sufi sheikhs advise always repeating zikr so that you may obtain pure and saintly vision. One Sufi master said, the aim in zikr is that the heart will always be aware of al-haq, which means the truth, another attribute for Allah. For its practice banishes inattention, which is something this world constantly forces upon us. Inattention, lack of awareness of why we're really here, of what our real goals are. This world is very distracting, and zikr is the medicine for that distraction. Still we see that zikr, the remembrance of the Almighty, the Creator, the one and only God, is key to our spiritual growth. It polishes our heart. We are taught everything has a polish, and the polish of the heart is the zikr of Allah. We seek to clean our hearts, and we seek to engrave God's name upon our hearts. Zikr is a key that causes the divine breeze to revive our dead spirits by directing them to the blessings of God, the sublime, the majestic. The divine breeze decorates our spirits with God's attributes and brings them from a state of heedlessness to a state of complete wakefulness. If we keep busy with zikr Allah, happiness and peace will be granted us. Zikr is the key of happiness. Zikr is the key of joy. Zikr is the key of divine love. And in the end, isn't divine love what we're really seeking? Actually, I'm hoping that you have questions because I prefer questions to talking. Yes?
I'm very fascinated with the whirling dervishes. I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about them.
So the whirling dervishes are traditional from Turkey and Persia, from that part of the world. Rumi was a whirling dervish, and the zikr, the motion of the zikr is part of what, the motion of the whirling is part of what takes you out of this space and into the higher space. The point of zikr is you're shedding what's here and going where you really want to be.
We're getting the microphone, that's what you're seeing going on.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Very exciting.
Imam, is Sufism a separate sect
from the other two classic sects, as it were?
You actually can be a Sunni Sufi or a Shia Sufi, but yes, you could say it's a sect.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Can you tell us about your worship service and like, do you get
Mostly
together?
zikr.
Is it Sunday morning, like?
Our services are Thursday night and Saturday night, and then there is a Friday day service. So they involve a sermon and a zikr led by the sheikh or his representative if the sheikh is not there. And then often there's a lot of music as well.
And can you talk about the sheikh guidance relationship too? You said something about that.
Yeah, okay. So each Sufi the world over has a sheikh. Obviously not all the same sheikh, but there are different Sufi schools, or they're called tariqas, but different Sufi paths, and they have different sheikhs. And the sheikhs are people who have reached a higher level than you have, and so therefore they're going to serve as your guide, because I don't know how to, I'm not sure quite what else to say beyond that. You're looking for someone who has been given the wisdom passed down from their sheikh in order that they may raise you up and guide you along. Does that answer your question?
Sounds kind of like a guru.
Well, guru is a Hindu word, sheikh is an Arabic word, but there's some overlap, yes.
I wondered if you could, if this isn't too personal, if you could tell me or tell us a little bit about what led you to Sufism, because I assume if you've been a Sufi for 17 years, it was a little something different before that.
Yes, well, I grew up in a house with a Catholic mother and a Jewish father, for which neither practiced. And the first thing I knew is that I needed to practice something. That was my first real spiritual decision in life. Before I knew what that meant, even, I knew that's where I needed to go, that my parents' decision wasn't going to work for me. And so that, of course, led to two sets of very happy grandparents as they tried to make my decision for me. But neither offered exactly what I was looking for, but both informed my decision to be a Sufi, because we do accept the prophets of Judaism, and we do accept Jesus, and that all made sense to me, but I was looking for more than that. Particularly, I was looking partly for the mystical, and that, for the spiritual path, and that doesn't come in a lot of services, of worship services. So that was pretty much how I came to that. I actually did lock myself in a room with a Bible, with a Quran, and actually with some Buddhist scriptures right before I made my final decision, and did quite a bit of reading before I came out, having made my decision.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do the young ladies perform regularly around the area?
Yes, they do, and they also perform regularly at our mosque, and they have performed around the world, and they keep getting invitations to go around the world, actually. So, and they're too shy to tell you this, but they have a CD they're selling. So I will tell you.
That's the next question. Anybody?
Did you want to know more about, did you have a specific question about the community? No, okay.
I get that. Is there some simple zikr you could guide us through today?
Kamal here is actually a chaplain, so he might be better at that than I am. And I think he could lead us in a short zikr, yes.
You guys want to do that?
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum. And you can say wa alaikum. Salam. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We can start with that. Try that one. Bismillah. Irrahman. Irrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. 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 Now we'll try La ilaha illallah. So La, say La. La is negation. Negating the ego, negating falsehood, negating hatred, all of the attributes that burden human beings, that harm human beings. We want to say La. Ilah. Okay, then ilaha. Ilaha, deity in the smaller sense that people over time have come to deify themselves, deify that which fades away. So, ilaha. Illa. Except, so that's an affirming. Allah. La ilaha illallah. 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 Zahra. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Thank
you.
You can see how that gets addicting.
Any other questions? Not that I can really follow that. Why don't we let the girls play? How does that sound? There's a handout, I don't know if you all got it, that has a translation of the next 2 songs they want to do for you, but I think they decided to start with the second one. So the translation will be on the bottom.
ربي يا ربي يا ربي سلمنا يا رب يا رب يا ربي سلمنا ربي يا ربي يا ربي سلمنا يا رب يا ربي سبحان